All right, welcome back to Buff-A-Touille. Today we're gonna make one of my favorites. It's called pork belly burnt ends. Now there's lots of different ways to make these, and today we're gonna do the way that I like to do it. I think it's a little bit easier. Made these a lot of different times and I've learned a little bit every single time from them. So I wanna start off talking about where to even begin. So pork belly can be kind of hard to find. I found that Costco, once again, always has it available, and they have it available in two different ways. We'll have a picture of that to show the differences, but you can buy it as a whole strip of pork belly, which comes in about 9 pounds, 10 pounds, or you can get it already cut into strips, and it's a lot easier if they do some of the work for you, because there is quite a bit of labor involved in cutting this up. So today we purchased this, cut up into strips, are about 1 inch wide, and we're gonna break that down into small cubes. So some people like to prepare their pork belly all together. It is one piece. I like to cut them up into cubes as small as possible. With that being said, it's always best to freeze or get it as close to freezing as possible. It will cut so much better than if you let it warm up. So we're starting off here with about 5 3/4 pounds of pork belly, which when we're done, we'll fill this pan up and we'll have a little bit of overlap. One of the problems if you buy the entire one is you'll need to double up the size of your pans. So really this is about half of what you would normally get, so it's just the right size. So we're gonna cut some of these up and then we'll jump forward. Right now I've got the Traeger out there and it's preheated to 230 degrees, I believe, 230, 240. Once we get these cut up, seasoned and put on there, it'll be on there about 2.5, 3 hours before we do the next step. So we're gonna start off here. A good thing to do for your cutting board so it doesn't move around. You can use a wet paper towel or just a towel underneath, but it really helps a lot. We're gonna cut these up. We're gonna put them into the bowl. Once they're all cut, then we're gonna coat them. We'll season them up, and then we will load them onto the sheet. But we're just gonna do a few of these. So, okay, next tip, how to cut. I always used to do fat side down, and it actually is more difficult. All right, so we want to cut these. Don't do it fat side down. That's how I used to do, because it doesn't cut through as easily. So either turn it on its side or do fat side up. The fat is actually the hardest part to cut through. Like I said, these are cut about 1 inch wide. Now, you'd think as fat as these are, they'd really render down, but they really don't. So when I started off doing these, I used to cut them into cubes about like this. And this size cube here would be absolutely the largest size that you'd want. This really isn't gonna shrink that much. And no one's gonna wanna choke on putting a large piece of pork belly in their mouth. So as you can see here on the cutting board, there's a lot of variation in the size. So sometimes, let me just grab a different one here really quick. We'll talk about that a little later. Of course, they didn't cut through it very well. But this is exactly some of the problems that you'll be up against. That's a lot. So you can see there's a fat line right there. Some people like fat, some people like lean. So actually, just cut it in half that way. And then you get these nice, smaller sized cubes. So it's about a 50% larger than a piece of dice. But see, this here is a manageable size of meat. This will reduce down only probably 20%. So if we compare that to this, it's quite a bit different. So you want somewhere in between these two sizes. Obviously this end here, if you go on this end, then you really don't have a cube. You have more like a column. So those are definitely ones you want to cut in half and just follow that fat line.
Be careful.
and those are nice sizes. That one there, you know, fat, I would probably cut again. A little bit slippery. So smaller, they're going to, especially the fat ones, the smaller ones are going to just be better. So, all right, so what we're gonna do, we'll go ahead and cut all these up. We'll put them in the bowl. I'll just finish up this one, and then we'll jump ahead on the video. Get these out of the way. You can kind of see here the sizes that are coming off. And like I said in the beginning, I thought they'd shrink a lot more. They really don't. See, these are getting a little bit not square anymore, so just cut them. You'll be very happy later that you did. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead, cut these up, and we'll join you again once that is done for the next step. All right, we're back. We have all these cut up, like I said, about 5.5 pounds. So the next step, we need to get them seasoned. We're gonna coat them. This is a multi-step process when we make these. So we're gonna coat them, we're gonna smoke them, render them down. Once we're ready to pull them off of the Traeger, we'll bring them back in. We're gonna coat them again then, and then that's where we're gonna make the glaze. So one magical thing you need to know about these, they're always better the second day too. So they're gonna be fantastic today. Tomorrow, we're gonna heat them up again, and it's gonna re-caramelize everything, and probably we're gonna add a little more of this hot dirty bird to it as well. Don't be afraid of the spice on these. And well, the thing I've learned is if you think that you've made it too spicy, you probably haven't made it spicy at all. So go really hot, because it's not going to be hot when you're done. I was tempted to go even with some habanero today, just to liven it up, but I didn't. So we got it here in mixture. We just showed off what we're using. Like to use Cosmos stuff. So really the hot dirty bird is what's going to bring the flavor out in this. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump this in. Then we're gonna mix it around. Really trying to coat it. Chances are,
whoops,
try not to make a mess, which is inevitable. When you do make messes, there was a great invention years ago. They came out with something called cleaning products, and that's actually what you can use. So instead of being all upset at yourself, you can go and get some paper towels and disinfectants such as Dawn dish soap or whatever you like to clean with. Fortunately, I have a wonderful assistant who is helping have those things ready to go.
Whoops.
And for the record, the counter was cleaned very well beforehand, so I am throwing these back in, but it was cleaned prior, just right before we started. So there are a few of you out there I know that like to make these. So Adam, I know you're one of them, and we've talked about it a lot of times, so I'm happy to show this off to you today. Then once again, my brother, you inspired a lot of this, so thank you for your inspiration. Also, I just want to say, I first learned to make these in Okoboji, Iowa. We used to live there, and if you're gonna go to Okoboji or thinking about a house in Okoboji, Hen Real Estate should be your realtor of choice. So we've used Hen Real Estate in the past. You will not find a finer real estate firm in the area. You can see these are really starting to turn orange. I think we're getting a pretty good coating. I still see a few on the bottom here. All right, so the next part is a little bit of a challenge if you try and put together a puzzle just perfectly. It's not going to really work. So normally I'll line these all up beautifully, and then I'll still have some left over, and it's like, dang, now what do I do? You can either go onto a second pan, or you can just recognize that it's okay if it's not perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and set these up on here, and we'll come back once that's ready, and then they'll be ready for taking them outside.
Wow.
All right, so we got these all ready to go. You can see here, it definitely went over. 5 pounds is about the right amount for these. So this was 5 3/4. Here's our 3/4. Here's our 5. This pan here will actually lift out, and we'll set that onto the Traeger. And then this one here, we'll just set next to it. Once it's all done, we're gonna put them back into this container with the glaze. And so next step, take them out there. All right, so we're at 240 degrees. Go ahead and put these on. We'll try to take them off about 2.5 hours. We'll see you when they're ready to come off for the next step. All right, so we've been on the Traeger for about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And the next step is we're gonna take them off. And then we're gonna go ahead and put these inside this container here. All right, so the next step here, we're gonna pre-finish these. So these are gonna actually go back out there for another 1.5 hours. But now that they're combined, they've got the smokiness on them. So we're gonna go ahead and add a few different things to this. So for this step right here, we're gonna put some butter. There's about 1.5 sticks of butter scattered throughout here. I like to use our Kerrygold butter, it's a favorite. So we'll put that in. We're also gonna do a 1/2 cup of brown sugar. I'm gonna add in a little Cholula here. We got a teaspoon of Cholula, just add a little more heat. Then I have a 1/4 cup of honey. And today I'm actually trying something just a little bit different, and we'll see how it goes, but doing pure maple syrup. So 1/4 cup, really trying to bring the sweetness out. When these are done right, they're just like candy.
I love candy.
Yeah, and then we'll cover it up with aluminum foil, and then we will place it back on the Traeger, 1.5 hours. And then for about the last 30 minutes, then we're gonna add one of our favorite things to the end, apricot jam. And maybe a couple other surprise ingredients. So I'll go ahead and throw the ingredients in there. Okay, so we got most of we have all the ingredients to put on here. At this point, it's not gonna be perfectly placed. It won't really matter because it's all gonna melt and spread anyways, but you can kind of get the point here. So I'll go ahead and get this wrapped up, and then we'll show you when we pull it off the next time for the final glaze. All right, see ya. All right, so now we just brought these back in. I just unwrapped them. It's been 3 hours and 45 minutes total time so far. So they're out there about 90 minutes the second time around. So for the last step here, I turned up the Traeger to 300 degrees. And so now that the Traeger is turned up, when we put them back out there, they're not gonna be covered. You can see there's a lot of liquid in there from all of the butter and the rendering and all that. So what we're gonna put in here to finish it off with, I have a blend of Devil Spit from Famous Dave's. It says here, punch it up, peppery heat, and that's what it does. And then also some honey barbecue from Buffalo Wild Wings. So those are blended together in this container, and there is 3/4 of a cup in here. So we're gonna dump that in. Some people choose to sprinkle more of the like hot dirty bird on or some of the seasoning, but I recommend doing that tomorrow when you're eating the leftovers. All right, so I went on a search for a few more secret ingredients. Just really want to make this make sure it's dialed in. So I'm going to go ahead and add more honey to this because I think it could use it. This is the part where you kind of have to do what you think is right for you. And I'm actually going to add some more brown sugar. I think you can understand why it's going to taste like candy because it's 50% 50% sugar. All right, we're going to give this a little stir. Try not to make a huge mess again. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I did splatter on my coat here earlier. So there inherently is risk when you are cooking. So whether it be from hot oil or sharp knives or dull knives, I guess. You always have to be alert and be prepared. So. All right, so we're gonna take this out there. It's got to start in pretty good here. And we'll finish it off and bring it in a little bit. All right, so I just brought these in. They're done. It's been 4.5 hours from start to finish. As you can see here, there's a lot of liquid in here. If you prefer, an alternative would have been to drain some of that out to get more of the glazing on it, but I have a sample here to show what it looks like as you remove them. So you can see they have a really nice glaze on them. Recommend you let these cool down a little bit before you eat them. They are going to be hot. And then tomorrow, these are going to be really good tonight. We're going to enjoy them tonight. But tomorrow, you're going to want to reheat them. And you can do that just by throwing them back in the oven for like 30 minutes. And don't be afraid to put some fresh hot dirty bird or some seasoning on it. Because a lot of the heat is gone, but they are really sweet. So before I sample this, I just want to say thank you to my daughter, who is my producer of all this, and she does a fantastic job. So great job. Let's have our Buff-A-Touille experience. So I've been to a lot of different restaurants. There's some pretty good pork belly burn ends out there. There's some good brisket burn ends out there. But there is nothing that I have found that is going to top this. So don't be afraid to do it. You're going to love it. You're going to love to share it and just enjoy. So thank you.